Hi, folks. I'm Mike Dorn, the host, and today we're at Mississauga Waterfront Park, and we're going to ask people about UFOs. I have 3 questions for them. So anyway, I'm a witness. I've seen several in my life. I have no doubt anymore, but I know lots of people have doubts, so I think there's room for discussion. Hi, sir. Care to take the poll? Takes 1 minute. Okay. First question is, have you ever in your life seen anything in the sky that you thought might be one of those UFOs that people report seeing?
Well, when I was very little, I think like that, but when I grew up, I don't believe in it anymore.
Okay. Has anybody close to you ever reported seeing something like that?
I don't remember so.
Nobody told you? Okay. All right. And the third question is, if the government announced that it is real, would you be more surprised that UFOs are real or that the government admitted it?
I would be surprised it's real.
Okay, you would be surprised. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. I did have a 4th question for non-believers. Okay, for non-believers, you are aware that science nowadays says that there's so many stars and planets out there that there must be intelligent life out there. Okay, so what's to stop that intelligent life from being smarter than us and getting here?
Well, I do believe there might be other lives in the universe, but well, I just don't believe they have ever come to Earth and they did nothing.
What about things like the Phoenix Lights?
Sorry?
The Phoenix Lights, where thousands of people in Phoenix saw this thing go over the sky, 2 miles wide it was.
I don't know that.
You don't know about it. Yeah. See, there's lots of things in the media, the mainstream media, won't tell you about. And yet people say, oh,
So do you believe there is UFO?
I've seen them, so I believe, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have photos or?
No, I don't have photos, but you can find them on the internet. Look up the Phoenix Lights, you know, Phoenix, the city Phoenix. Look up the Phoenix Lights, and if you can remember the name Lynn Katai, like Kit, Phoenix Lights Kit. Katai, her name is Lynn Katai. She's a doctor, and she witnessed it in Phoenix. She took a 20-minute video of this UFO that just hung in the sky for 20 minutes. And the military tried to say it was flares, but flares don't stay in the sky for 20 minutes. They drop. So it was something else.
No, I've never seen a UFO.
Never seen anything? No. Has anybody close to you ever said that maybe they saw something like that?
No, I've seen that in the movies, though, but never somebody reporting it.
Right, okay. And the third question is, if the government were to admit that hypothetically, if the government were to admit that UFOs are real, which would surprise you more? That UFOs are real or the government admitted it?
That the government admitted it.
Right. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay. Because I have read about these things, and it does say that the governments do a lot of work, you know, the investigation work, and then they have found that something like the UFO does exist, but it's just that the normal human being doesn't know about it.
Right. The mainstream media doesn't report a lot on it, although they are starting to more. And if you go home and look on Google or research through Google, if you look up the Tic Tac, you know the Tic Tac, the candies?
Yeah.
Tic Tac UFO. That was recent in the last couple of years. A Navy pilot or Air Force pilot, I can't remember. He reported it, and they have the video of it being captured on their instruments. And so the government is starting to admit it. They're just starting.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Could you briefly, about a minute, describe what you saw?
I think it was just a blurry, moving thing, moving in a direction that didn't seem natural. But I couldn't make it out.
What direction would that be?
I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Up, down, what? I don't.
Sideways. Yeah.
Sideways. Okay. And what about it made you think it wasn't conventional?
Just the way it was moving at the time. But
Like G-forces zigzagging or something like that?
I don't. It was a long, long time ago. I don't really remember. I just remember going, "That can't be natural, moving like that."
How old were you at the time?
Yeah, probably early teens.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's hard to remember. Okay.
That was a long, long time ago.
Yeah. Fair enough. Second question is, has anybody close to you ever said that maybe they saw something like that?
No, they don't admit to those things with me around.
A lot of people don't. And the third question is, if, this is hypothetical, if the government were to admit that UFOs are real, which would surprise you more, that the UFOs are real or that the government admitted it?
That the UFOs are real.
Even though you maybe saw one, you're still very skeptical.
I think if they exist, they'd be clever enough not to be found by our government.
I think they want to be seen. That's what I think.
Yeah, I disagree. Yes, I have.
Okay, could you briefly give us a description of what you saw?
It was about 3 years ago. I seen like a cylinder and it had like spikes around or something around it, all around it. This was back in 3 years ago. It was
Around here?
no in Woodbridge.
Woodbridge, okay, which is north of Toronto. Okay, and what about it? What about your sighting made you think that it was an unconventional aircraft?
It was all silver, like a shiny silver color.
We do have silver aircraft.
But it didn't look like an aircraft. It was like a cylinder shape.
No wings, nothing like that.
No wings or nothing like that. No.
And what about was it speed extraordinary, or did it travel at 90
It
degrees?
wasn't traveling, it was like idling, and then me and my buddy was watching it, and just it vanished. It was like you didn't know where it went. It was weird. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Okay, very good. Second question is: has anybody close to you ever reported that maybe they saw something like that, something like a UFO?
No, not that. No.
Nobody else.
No.
Okay. All right. The third question is: if the government were this is hypothetical, if the government were to admit that UFOs are real, what would surprise you more, that the government admitted it or that UFOs are real?
Well, the government admitted it. The government hides everything.
UFO things that people report.
No.
And has anybody close to you ever said that maybe they saw something like that?
Yeah, but I told them they're hallucinating.
Well, okay. Okay? What did they say they saw? What did they say they saw?
An object in the sky.
What about it? What seemed unconventional to them?
It's an unidentified object, so.
Well, I know, but we see things.
They call it a UFO. So whatever the hell it is in the sky that we don't know what it is.
Did it travel super fast, make a 90-degree turn?
I didn't get no description from him like that.
All right. So the third question is, if, and this is hypothetical, if the government were to announce that UFOs are real, what would surprise you more, that UFOs are real or that the government admitted it?
The government admitted it.
They don't tell the truth very often.
No, they don't tell the truth at all. They hide everything on purpose.
So if they're saying UFOs aren't real, what does that tell you?
They're lying. They're obviously real. They're out there. We just didn't see them. If we didn't see them, and for those who did, they probably did. I wouldn't doubt it.
All right. So next time your buddy says you saw something, what are you going to say?
Life sucks, man. No one's gonna believe you. You know.
All right. Thanks for taking the poll, sir. Thank you very much. Have a good day. You guys game? You hung around and listened. Come on now. Come on, both of you. Why not both of you? Come on. That's good. Thank you. Okay, so these folks have agreed to take the poll. Thank you very much. First question is, as you heard, have you ever seen anything in the sky? Seen anything in the sky that you thought maybe that's one of those UFO things?
Yes, I did.
You did. Okay. You?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Both of you. At the same time?
No.
Okay. So I'll take yours first. Just describe briefly what you saw.
A lights on the, like, I'm from Middle East, so there was some mountains, and there was the lights, but we thought like there was like, because we know there's like airports close by,
Right.
so, and then like it passed like,
So because it moved so fast, that's what made you think it's a unconventional aircraft.
yeah, I think so.
And what did you briefly describe what you saw, please?
It was a similar one. It was like a row of lights, and then they were kind of like not moving fast, and then they just kind of really fast, like really quickly, like took off.
And whereabouts was this?
And like Mississauga actually.
Was it Mississauga?
Yeah.
Okay. And yours was in the Middle East,
No, Rome,
near Rome.
Italy.
Oh, okay. Near Italy, or in Italy. Okay, great. Second question is, has anybody close to you ever said that maybe they saw a UFO?
Yeah, I heard stories. Yeah.
Anything you can describe that you remember?
Now pretty much all the same things like super fast lights, yeah. All the like weird movements, you know what I mean? Like, not that look like a plane, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's got to do something. You know, just see lights in the sky. That's not even a UFO, really. It's got to do something that makes you think it's unconventional.
Light in the sky can be like a little
90-degree turn, takes off at 5,000 miles an hour, something like that. So has anybody close to you ever said that maybe they saw a UFO?
Yeah, a lot, but I honestly can't like remember any of their specific stories. But it was all like stuff that they saw in the sky, or like, yeah, just weird stuff that they can't describe or explain.
Nothing sticks out in the stories. Okay. And so the third question is, if the government, hypothetically, if the government were to admit that UFOs are real, what would surprise you more, that the government admitted it or that UFOs are real?
To be honest, neither either.
I don't think I'd be surprised.
I wasn't surprised, to be honest, like if they're real, and like it's kind of like I don't need like the government approval.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if I have in my thought that it's real, it's real. If it's not real, won't be real, even if the government say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you?
Yeah, I just wouldn't be surprised. I think. Yeah, I kind of. I'm firm in my own beliefs too.
Surprise you more if the government admitted it?
No, I don't think I'd be surprised if the government admitted it. I'm kind of like on the same page. Like I'm pretty firm in my own beliefs, and I feel like yeah, I just wouldn't be surprised.
So I'm just trying to clarify what you're thinking. You would be surprised that they are real?
No, I wouldn't be surprised at the real, and I wouldn't be surprised if the government admitted it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Fair enough. What's that?
Would be surprised.
I would be surprised if the government admits it. I'd be very surprised if the government admits it.
Be more surprised that, like,
Because they lie all the time. They lie about all kinds of stuff.
It shouldn't surprise you.
They lie?
It shouldn't surprise you if they come out with something like this if you know that they're lying.
If they do, they would be lying. And the truth, to me, the truth is that UFOs exist. So if they say that UFOs exist, that means they're lying and the UFOs don't exist. See what I'm saying? I'm making it confusing. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I don't believe much of what the government tells us or the newspapers. What the mainstream media, they lie. They lie all the time.
We won't believe.
Yeah, they tell us all kinds of stuff. Whatever they want us to believe, that's the narrative they give us.
If you think like, let's say, oh, I know the government like say lies, but you trust news, right? You should trust that because journalists are normal people, like they're not in the government, but like even still them, they
are normal people, but they have jobs and pensions,
and
they can be threatened.
therefore, have that job, you have to make a choice to decide what the boss say in the morning to say. You have to say, even if it's.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure what it was, but yeah, I can definitely say it was not something that I'm maybe used to seeing it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The question I ask people is, what about it made you think it was an unconventional aircraft? That it was not a conventional aircraft?
I think maybe just the shape of it. I mean, I've seen, airplanes flying or maybe even jets or rockets or whatever it is. But yeah, it was not that for sure. So, yeah, just the shape. I mean, that's what, made me guess like it's something else.
So you didn't see wings and things like that, or
Yeah, not like that, yeah.
any noise?
No noise. No noise. Yeah.
Okay. Was it moving at all or just hovering?
It was moving. Yeah, not fast. Like, I mean, I cannot judge it from like, where I was, but yeah, not fast enough that it's something that, maybe going at a speed of light or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So the second question is, has anybody close to you ever said that maybe they saw something like a UFO?
I mean, I don't have anybody like who had like an experience something like that, but it's, most of the things that I've read maybe here and there, that suggests there is something, which is there.
No, specifically, nobody you know close to you has ever said that they've been. Okay. Okay, and the third question is, if, this is hypothetically, if hypothetically the government were to admit that UFOs are real, which would surprise you more, that UFOs are real or that the government admitted it?
I think I'll be more surprised by the government admitting it, because I definitely know, there are things which we are not aware of yet. Maybe there were people earlier or maybe now who are aware of it and they have kept it like a secret.
That people report seeing.
Yeah, actually, I have.
Give us a brief description of what you saw.
Oh, when I was a kid with my brother, we were traveling through the States. We were crazy about the whole UFO thing. So we were just like, oh, is there a UFO there? Is there a UFO there? So we saw like a little silver object. No idea. There's a UFO, right?
No wings or anything like that.
Not that I could tell, but it was from far away, so you never know.
Was it moving or just staying stationary?
Oh, well, we were in the car moving, so it's hard to tell.
Okay, fair enough. Has anybody close to you ever said that maybe they saw something like that, something like a UFO?
Yeah, I've had people who've said like they couldn't explain something that zipped around the sky and they had no explanation for it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And the third question is, hypothetically, if the government were to admit that UFOs are real, which would surprise you more, that UFOs are real or that the government admitted it?
That UFOs are real.
Yes, I actually did.
Okay.
That was in high school, and I saw something out my window. It was like far away, probably like 50 meters away, but I still saw it. It was moving in the sky like very slowly, something very flat and gray. It was very, like, I don't know what it was, but it moved very slowly and it moved at the same speed. To this day, I have no idea what it is. So, because I couldn't identify it, then It is technically to me a UFO. Could have been something else, but God knows. I don't know.
Now, I just want to clarify. Did you say it was 50 meters away?
Looked like it approximately. That was at least that was my perception. From my window, we lived like on the 8th floor at the time, and it was going above the trees in the park. We were facing the park, and it looked like 50 meters away. Could have been closer. I don't know.
Oh, that's pretty close, though. That's if it was a UFO, that's called a first kind. That's an encounter of the first kind when it's within 500 feet. Okay, so what made you think it was unconventional? That it wasn't a conventional aircraft?
The thing is, I may be biased because it was a little too far away from me, but this aircraft was moving very slowly. And when I was in high school, I don't believe drones existed. Right. And drones look a little different than that.
Has anybody close to you ever said that maybe they saw something that looked like a UFO, or maybe it was a UFO?
No. I'm the only one. The thing is, one of my friends said that she believed she had a ghost in her home, but that doesn't count.
Right. As far as we know, it doesn't. What would surprise you more, that UFOs are real or that the government admitted it?
I don't think government would deny it in the first place. I mean, I'm not really that informed on UFOs and such, but I would say that I'd probably be equally surprised at both if that was the case. But then again, I think there is a higher chance of UFOs actually existing. I actually do think they exist. My whole family thinks they exist. I mean, if we exist, why shouldn't something else exist, right? I mean,
that's one of the questions. I have a bonus question for non-believers, and I understand you're a believer. For non-believers, I say, well, you understand that science now says there are so many stars and planets out there in the universe that there virtually has to be other intelligent life out there. And then I ask them, what's to stop that other intelligent life from being smarter than us?
Oh, they could be easily smarter than us. That's why they probably don't come to visit us in the first place, because they're like, nothing to see here.
In your life, ever seen anything in the sky that you thought maybe that's one of those UFOs that people report seeing?
Not yet, but I would love to see that.
Has anybody close to you ever said that maybe they saw something like that?
Not anyone that is close to me in my family. I haven't seen that, and I haven't heard that.
Friends or anything like that?
No.
Okay. And the third question is, hypothetically, if the government were to admit that they are real, would it surprise you more that they are real or that the government admitted it?
No, probably that they're real, but on the same token, it's a pretty big universe. I hope that there's something else out there.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that science now says that there's so many stars and planets out there. It's inevitable. There's got to be higher intelligence out there. And so I always ask people, what guarantee do we have that they're not more intelligent than us?
No clue.
No guarantee. No guarantee.
No clue. No guarantee.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for taking the poll. That's it. People report.
No.
Okay. Has anybody close to you, friends or family, have anybody ever said that maybe they saw something like that?
Yes.
Okay. Can you briefly describe what they told you?
What they told me, they see like a saucer on the top of their cottage in the country.
In Ontario?
No, not in Ontario. From Quebec. I'm from Quebec.
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah, so they've seen something there.
All right.
So it was very interesting.
Did they say what about it convinced them that it was unconventional? Because, there's lots of things in the sky, right? So what about it? Was fast speed, 90-degree turn? What?
No, what happened, they see it there for maybe 5 to 10 minutes on the top of their home. And they were actually able to take a picture of it. And I was very surprised. So, they're fine people, and I believe them.
Otherwise, normal people.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yes, for sure. So, for me, I'm already interested to those things, and I believe in them.
Have you heard of the Tic Tac UFO?
No, never heard.
If you can remember that, it's like the candy, the little candy. Yeah. That shape is why they call it the Tic Tac UFO, but it was much larger. It was seen by Navy pilots flying their jet aircraft with targeting systems. They were able to lock onto it. This is all on video. It was released by the government, and it's about a couple of years ago now. And if you Google it, Tic Tac UFO, you'll see the video. You'll be able to find the video. It's pretty impressive. I mean, it's not like it looks like a flying saucer. It looks like a Tic Tac, but it is, you're talking about Navy pilots. They know aircraft. They know the enemy's aircraft, and yet they don't know what this thing is, and it's pretty impressive. So yeah, so I guess you're a believer. There's one question I have for you. I don't know if you're on the fence, let's say, but one question I have for people is there anyone if they are okay? I'd ask you the third question. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Third question is hypothetically, if the government admits they're real, would you be more surprised that they are real or that the government admitted it?
I'd be more surprised if the government admitted it. Yeah, because for sure, because for sure they're doing it for their own purpose. You know, the Blue Book Project. Yeah. So they have their own stake in that. So I guess in Antarctica, there's much more that you could see there that they want to say about it.
Right, you're not telling us.
No, for sure. But they have their ways, and I guess they're doing it because they're afraid of the chaos. I believe so. But the chaos back then, but now in 2019, I think some of us or maybe could be more ready.
I think more people are ready for it. That's one of the bonus questions I have for people is if it was disclosed to the public, is there any one group of the public that you think would not handle it very well?
One group, great question. Actually, I think unfortunately, there's a percentage of people who are not wise and wide open. They don't, so they're so focused on to themselves. So they're not observing what's going on. We are in a time right now that I believe that people are changing. Vibration is different, and I think the people who are focused too much in the material world instead of being focused to the spiritual world, they are the one who actually is going to have much more difficulty to adapt it, and maybe they are the one who will bring chaos.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. A lot of people say that, and these are non-believers. Most of them are non-believers. They think that the religious types will not be able to handle the news that there's other races out there. But the Bible says, Jesus said, "I have other sheep who are not of this fold." Right?
I think they're not making the link between what is extraterrestrial and with the religion. Actually, you have 9 gods, and you have Vato on one of those gods, and in different country, those 9 gods come to different information. So I think that you have just to make the link. But if you only focus to the Bible, which the Bible is saying one thing, but you have to look over the Quran, you have to look over other religion, and they're all saying the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, the point that you seem to be making is that the religious already believe in sky people, right?